Morning, everybody. Happy Sunday. I'm standing here leaning against my refrigerator right next to my microwave, waiting for it to heat up the water for my third cup of tea of the morning. Yes, that's right, my third cup of tea, because the first two cups of tea were, the messages were repeats. That's right, repeats. And it's like my tea's nagging me or something to learn the lessons that it wants me to learn instead of teaching me something new. And so I'm sitting here waiting for the water to heat up so I can make myself a third cup of tea. And I think I'm just going to go with an organic green tea because my organic green tea has no messages for me whatsoever. Not at all. And you know what? Sometimes I appreciate that in a beverage. That that it just mind its own business and refresh me. Sometimes I think that's all maybe a tea needs to do. So, I really don't have any kind of plan today, but I am wondering how many of you are brought to the video today wondering whether or not I'm wearing pants today. And if that's the case, if that is why you are here watching my video today, on Sunday, shame on you. Shame, shame. So, I have no plan for today, but today I've decided that a couple months ago or earlier on in the pandemic, I had thought about doing a children's, just read stories for children. And I've decided that after scrolling Facebook today and watching the Sunday news programs that if everybody's going to behave like children, I'm going to read the children's book. And today's story is from the book Flat Stanley by Jeff Brown, illustrated by Steve Bjorkman. Flat Stanley by Steve Brown. Chapter 1. Breakfast was ready. "I'll go wake the boys," Mrs. Lambchop said to her husband, Lord George Lambchop. Just then, their younger son, Arthur, called from the bedroom he shared with his brother Stanley. "Hey, come and look, hey!" Mr. and Mrs. Lambchop were both very much in favor of politeness and careful speech. "Hay is for horses, Arthur, not people," Mr. Lambchop said as they entered the bedroom. "Try to remember that." "Excuse me," Arthur said, "but look." He pointed to Stanley's bed. Across it lay the enormous bulletin board that Mr. Lambchop had given the boys a Christmas ago so that they could pin up pictures and messages and maps. It had fallen during the night on top of Stanley. But Stanley was not hurt. In fact, he would still have been sleeping if it had not been woken by his brother's shout. "What's going on here?" he called out cheerfully from beneath the enormous board. Mr. and Mrs. Lambchop hurried to lift it from the bed. This is so exciting. "Heavens," said Mrs. Lambchop. "Gosh," said Arthur, "Stanley's flat." "As a pancake," said Mr. Lambchop. "Darndest thing I've ever seen." "Let's all have breakfast," Mrs. Lambchop said. "Then Stanley and I will go see Dr. Dan and hear what he has to say. I know you're flat, but a boy's got to eat, Stanley." In his office, Dr. Dan examined Stanley all over. How do you feel?" he asked. "Does it hurt very much?" "It felt sort of tickly for a while after I got up," Stanley Lambchop said, "but I feel fine now." "Well, that's mostly how it is with these cases," said Dr. Dan. "We'll just have to keep an eye on this young fellow," he said when he had finished his examination. "Sometimes we doctors, despite all our years of training and experience, can only marvel at how little we really know." Mrs. Lambchop said she thought Stanley's clothes would have to be altered by the tailor now, so Dr. Dan told his nurse to take Stanley's measurements. Mrs. Lambchop wrote them down. Stanley was 4 feet tall, about a foot wide, and half an inch thick. That is chapter 1 of Flat Stanley. I'll leave it up to you if you want chapter 2, but I'm having a hell of a good time. Peace, love, understanding, make the world a better place for everybody, especially flat people. Flat people lives matter too, you people. See you tomorrow.